Welcome to Breaking Ties, Destination Divorce. This is your go-to source for practical advice and support while you go through the divorce process. Join us each weekday for a quick chat where we'll cover a variety of topics such as child custody, property division, and self-care. Together, we'll explore emotional, financial, and legal aspects of divorce and help you find the best path forward for you and your family. Here's your host and Certified Divorce Financial Analyst professional, Mike Fulkerson.
Hi, and welcome back to Breaking Ties, Destination Divorce. I'm your host, Mike Fulkerson, financial advisor and certified divorce financial analyst professional. Today on our show, we're going to tackle a financial aspect that is pretty important of divorce, and that's going to be child support and other expenses with regards to kids. So divorce really does involve a lot of significant financial adjustments. I mean, I don't think I have to tell you that. And understanding how child support and other costs are handled is really important to make sure things run smoothly in your household. So let's explore the different types of expenses and how they're addressed during the divorce process. And we'll start with the big one, and that's child support. So child support really, is a regular financial payment, and it's made by one parent to another to help cover the cost of raising their shared children. And the purpose really is to ensure that children maintain a similar standard of living after the divorce and helps the custodial parent meets their needs on living expenses. How is it calculated? Well, child support really is typically calculated using a formula, and every state can be different, so you're going to want to check with your state. But most of them will look at these really straightforward pieces, and one is income of both parents. The higher earning parent generally contributes more. You got the number of children involved, and that's, the amount obviously is going to go up with more children. And then there's childcare costs. So any expenses for daycare or babysitting are factored in. Health insurance, of course, we got to make sure the kids are covered under health insurance. So the cost of the health insurance is also considered for the children. And then the custody arrangement, the amount may be adjusted based on the time each parent spends with the children themselves. So if you have more overnights, you might pay less in child support. If you have fewer overnights, then you might pay more in child support. Now we got some other expenses as well that happen and occur for kids as they grow up. And then other pieces that are also looking out for the other spouse. I mean, spousal support or spousal maintenance is also taken into consideration with regards to how child support is structured and how it impacts spousal maintenance. You got things like other expenses for extracurricular activities and pieces parts for kids, school stuff if they're in school still. And those pieces parts are usually negotiated like outside of child support. So because they're going to vary, they're not locked in. So one parent is going to have to track it, and the other one's going to have to probably pitch in for a 50-50 split a lot of times on how that works. But you can negotiate your own percentage for those extracurricular activities and things the kids do that can be attributed to both parents. Now, open communication, transparency about finances is really important. And so when you're looking at putting numbers together, you want to be above board, because if you're not, then things get a little sticky. And then you're also going to want to document all these expenses and stuff so you can keep on top of who's owed what from a parent standpoint. And then also, if you're the receiving parent on the funds for child support, then you can also have a log of whether or not they're even paying. So let's not even talk about them not paying. That's a whole nother episode of the podcast. Now, got to be flexible though when you're doing the negotiations and stuff. Got to reach fair agreements with child support and other expenses, because it's just going to make things go a little easier. And then also some long-term planning, because child support will end at some point in time, and then hopefully your children are ready to go and start moving on and contributing to their own financial future. So it's pretty important really to understand child support when you do have kids and all the little pieces that come with it. A divorce attorney is a great resource for this information to make sure that it's fair and equitable between parties and such. So feel free to, reach out to a divorce attorney and get some input from them as well. Plus, you'll have some, court documentation that has to take place that's got to be done a certain way. I want to thank you for joining me on this episode of Breaking Ties. Should you have any questions, let me know. Leave a comment. And remember, divorce is not the end of your story. It is the start of your next great chapter. Until next time, take care. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Breaking Ties Destination Divorce. I'm your host, Mike Fulkerson, financial advisor and certified divorce financial analyst professional. Today, we're going to dive into a topic that could be confusing for many, and that's common law marriage and the divorce process. I mean, common law marriage is really not recognized everywhere, but when it does show up, it can be pretty unique as far as challenges go when a couple decides to separate. So let's explore how it works and what to expect during a common law divorce. Now, common law marriage is a legal partnership between two people who live together as a married couple without formally getting married, having the marriage license or ceremony kind of thing. And it's important to note that only a handful of states and the District of Columbia currently recognize common law marriages. So you're going to want to check with your state to see if it's even a thing. Because if you aren't married and you're living together for a number of years, like you are married, it may actually come into play at some point if you decide to part ways with your, let's call them partner, girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever title or moniker you like to use. Now, even states where common law marriage is recognized, proving a common law marriage can be more complex than a traditional divorce. So, I mean, you might need to demonstrate some things like cohabitation, living together for a specific period, usually several years. And then, mutual intent to be married, holding yourselves out as husband and wife to family, friends, and the community. And then you got the financial entanglement. So you're sharing finances and assets like joint bank accounts or property ownership. Those could all be, ways to prove a common law marriage. Now, once the common law marriage is established, the divorce process generally follows the same steps as a traditional divorce. And so this is going to include everything from filing for divorce, division of assets and debts, child custody and support if children are involved, and then spousal maintenance if that is necessary. So as you can tell, not a whole lot different than the regular divorce process at this stage. The big piece seems to be proving the common law marriage. Now, we do have some important considerations that you need to really think about, and first of which is state laws. The specific laws and procedures for common law divorce, they can vary significantly depending on the state you're in. So you're going to want to check in and find out what those laws are. We got some, evidence gathering for proving a common law marriage can require things like joint financial statements, shared bills, and witness testimonies. And then there's legal representation. So consulting with an experienced divorce attorney specializing in common law marriages might be the best way to go. Find a few, interview them, see who you fit best. And then there's also seeking professional guidance. So navigating a common law divorce can be complex and really emotionally challenging. So seeking legal counsel from an attorney familiar with your state's laws is probably a great idea and extremely important because they're going to be able to guide you through the process and ensure your rights are protected and help you achieve a fair outcome from the divorce itself. So common law marriage and divorce, it can be a bit confusing and challenging at times. So understanding your state laws, seeking professional legal guidance are probably the really good first steps to ensure a smooth and fair resolution. I want to thank you for joining me on this episode of Breaking Ties Destination Divorce. Should you have any questions, feel free to reach out or leave a comment. Divorce is not the end of your story. It is the start of your next great chapter. And with that, have a good day. Hi, and welcome to another episode of Breaking Ties Destination Divorce. I'm your host, Mike Fulkerson, financial advisor and certified divorce financial analyst professional. Today, we're going to get into a pretty important, maybe one of the most important documents in the divorce process, and that's the financial affidavit. And it may sound intimidating, but really understanding its purpose and importance can help you navigate this challenging time with more clarity and some confidence. So, what is this important document called the financial affidavit? Well, think of the financial affidavit as a detailed financial snapshot of your situation. It's a legal document where both spouses disclose their income, assets, debts, and expenses. So, why is it that important? Well, the financial affidavit is really plays a critical role in several aspects of the divorce process. So, first, really, you're looking at fairness. It ensures transparency and helps the court make informed decisions regarding, things like the division of marital assets and debts. I mean, how else are you going to find out that information? Or determining child support. I mean, you got to calculate it based on numbers. So this form is where they get the numbers from. And then you got spousal maintenance. So if one spouse seeks spousal maintenance, then the financial affidavit is, again, a place you're going to go to find the numbers. So it's really a pivotal document, and it's completely necessary. Now, what information is included? I mean, the specific details required may vary slightly depending on your state, but generally the financial affidavit includes your income, like all source of your income, salaries, bonuses, investments, any place else you earn money. It's going to include your assets, marital assets such as real estate, vehicles, bank accounts, retirement accounts, and valuable possessions, let's say. It's also going to include the debt, so a detailed breakdown of all outstanding debts. And that's going to include things like mortgages or credit card balances and any other loans you may have out there. And then also you're going to list your expenses. So it's going to be a pretty comprehensive list of your monthly expenses, and that's going to include, things like housing, food, transportation, childcare, other living costs. I mean, it's got it all that's going to go into this. So when we work with numbers anyway, we got to be honest and accurate when we complete any form, even especially the financial affidavit. Providing complete and truthful information ensures that a fair and equitable outcome for both parties is likely to happen. Now, you can also seek professional guidance. So while you can fill out the financial affidavit yourself, consulting with a divorce attorney experienced, with your type and size of case really could be highly beneficial. And they're going to provide guidance on completing the affidavit accurately and completely. And then they're going to, help you gather and organize your documents, and then they're going to review it and make sure it meets all the legal requirements. So the financial affidavit really is a vital tool for the divorce process, and understanding its purpose, providing accurate information, and seeking professional guidance when necessary really can help ensure a fair and informed resolution for you and your ex. That's going to do it for this episode of Breaking Ties Destination Divorce. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments or send them to me directly. Divorce is not the end of your story. It is the start of your next great chapter. Have a great day. Hi, and welcome back to Breaking Ties Destination Divorce. I'm your host, Mike Fulkerson, financial advisor and certified divorce financial analyst professional. Today, we're going to tackle a topic that's really close to our hearts, and that is what happens to beloved pets during the divorce process. Our furry companions often become cherished members of the family, and their well-being becomes a significant concern during separation. Now, let's explore how the courts handle pet ownership and what you can do to ensure the best outcome for your animal friend. Traditionally, pets were viewed as property in divorce proceedings, similar to furniture or household items. However, recently this has been changing. Increasingly, the courts are recognizing the emotional bond between human and pets, leading to a more nuanced approach to pet ownership during divorce. And many states now prioritize the best interest of the animal, just like the children, when determining ownership or custody arrangements. Might seem a little strange. However, our furry friends are our companions. So we got some factors that are considered, and the court's going to consider quite a number of them. We're going to go through a few here, and it's going to include things like who primarily cared for the pet. Who did the feeding, the walking, the training, the vet care. You got the financial responsibility, who has really historically covered the pet's expenses. Living situation, can each spouse provide a stable and loving environment for the pet? And then you got children's involvement. If children are attached to the pet, their bond and well-being may be considered. Now, depending on the circumstances, different ownership arrangements might be established. You got sole ownership, so one spouse receives full responsibility for the pet, plain and simple. There's shared ownership, so both spouses share care and decision making for the pet, potentially with a visitation schedule. And then you got a mediation, which is reaching an agreement outside of the court that can be beneficial for both parties and the pet. Got some important considerations, though. One, you got to document everything. And so that will show, when you pull all this documentation together, that who did the caring, who did all the responsibilities for the pet. Consider consulting with a divorce attorney experienced in handling pet custody issues. There's then looking at, really just prioritizing the pet's well-being. I mean, remember, the ultimate goal is to ensure a stable and loving environment for your furry friend. Alternatives you may want to consider if things don't work out would be things like finding a new loving home. And I mean, that's going to be extremely difficult and hard, but it could be the best choice. You could rehome with friends or family. So if you got a trusted friend or a family member who can provide a stable and loving home, it could be a good alternative as well. So it's, like anything in divorce, deciding pet ownership is quite emotionally challenging. You're going to want to understand the legal landscape, seek professional help from a divorce attorney, and prioritize your pet's well-being when you navigate this process. Thank you for joining me on this episode of Breaking Ties, Destination Divorce. Should you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments or reach out. I'm happy to help. Divorce is not the end of your story. It is the start of your next great chapter. All the best. Hi, and welcome back to another episode of Breaking Ties, Destination Divorce. I'm your host, Mike Fulkerson, financial advisor and certified divorce financial analyst professional. Today, we're going to get into a part of divorce, really revolving around navigating the complexities of the divorce process itself, and that's going to be understanding your state laws. Divorce laws vary significantly across the United States, impacting everything from the grounds for divorce to asset division and child custody arrangements. So taking the time to understand your state's specific legal framework is probably paramount for making informed decisions and protecting your interests throughout the process. I mean, why, the first question always comes to mind is why state laws matter. I mean, you really got to think of the state divorce laws as the map you'll use to navigate the divorce process. Each state has its own set of rules and regulations that govern. And we've, gone over a few of these already, but I mean, we're just going to recap here. It's grounds for divorce. I mean, some places have different reasons you can file for divorce and such. Residency requirements. How long do you have to live in the state before you can file, just in case you moved? Division of assets. Spousal support, how much, well, how long? And then you got child and custody support, same thing, how much, how long? And then the divorce process. So, I mean, there are specific steps and procedures involved to obtaining a divorce that you have to follow. So you're going to need to know the law in order to do that. So we got some areas of places we want to research, and there's some key ones here where we can understand the state laws. And first is the grounds for divorce. Some have fault-based grounds while others have no fault. There's division of property. There's various methods of dividing marital assets, whether it's community property or equitable distribution. When we look at spousal support, the availability and duration plays a significant role through state laws. And then child custody also has state laws that make sure that it's in the best interest of the child. So resources you can use for understanding your state laws. I mean, state court websites, state websites. I mean, those, many of those really provide information on divorce laws and procedures. An attorney, a divorce attorney. So consulting with an experienced divorce attorney in your state is really, one, highly recommended, and two, they're going to know the state laws that you have to make sure you follow. And then online legal resources, the Bar Association or other organizations that offer general information on divorce laws within your state could also be another source that you could go to. Now, don't wait until you're in the thick of the divorce process to start researching your state laws. You're going to be proactive, and you want to get out in front of this. So that way, it's able to help you make informed decisions. Knowing your legal options really gives you a head start on knowing what choices you're about to make for your settlement in the divorce. Protects your interests, understanding your rights and obligations under state law. Make sure you get a fair outcome. And then reduce stress and anxiety. I mean, knowing what to expect can alleviate some of the uncertainty and stress associated with divorce. Got to remember, though, it's not a one-size-fits-all. While understanding your state's divorce laws is important, everybody's divorce situation is unique. And checking in or consulting with a qualified divorce attorney can really provide personalized guidance and ensure you navigate the process effectively. So, understanding your state divorce laws is really a vital step in navigating the challenging journey. I mean, divorce is hard enough, but not knowing the rules or how to play makes them even more difficult. I want to thank you for joining me on this episode of Breaking Ties, Destination Divorce. Should you have any questions, leave them in the comment section or reach out to me. Divorce is not the end of your story. It is the start of your next great chapter. Have yourself a good day.